people forget that there is a line that does not need to be crossed, and they forget that that's your workplace. So therefore, very important to understand that workplace is not just limited to your primary workplace. Workplace right now definitely extends to your remote workplace, as well as extends to extended workplace definition that I just explained. The third definition that is very important is, Akshay, sexual harassment. I think that I'll quickly touch upon this because one is, it's very important for us to understand what is sexual harassment at workplace, right? So we have understood women are covered. We have understood workplace, what our workplace is. One also needs to remember, understand what is sexual harassment. So the law gives 5 broad parameters to define sexual harassment. Interestingly, this is the same definition of sexual harassment that is there in the as definition of sexual harassment under section 350 under section 360 of IPC as well. So it's the same definition of sexual harassment. So the law defines 5 broad parameters, and if you'll hear it out, you will realize it's broad because it gives a lot of opportunity to lawyers as well as to ICs to interpret, even for the women, because it has to be seen from a fact to fact basis, right, on a case to case basis. So the first definition, that first parameter of sexual harassment is physical contact and advances. Therefore, which means, so, and that's basic to understand, any inappropriate touching, hugging, in serious cases assault or grabbing somebody, these are things that come within the definition of physical contact and advances. The second definition of sexual harassment is demand or request for sexual favors, okay, and which is what basically is quid pro quo, which means this for that. So the law says that, because there have been a lot of cases that come up where demand has been made or request has been made to a woman for sexual favor in return for something. So there are 2 elements attached to it. One is that there could be element of, if you will, do what I'm asking you to do in terms of the sexual favor, then you will get promoted. Okay, so that's a positive reinforcement of the same, that, I will only advance your career, or your career in the organization will only get advanced if you are, listening to me in terms of the sexual favor that I'm demanding. The second is that if you don't adhere to, or you don't listen to what I'm or if you don't do what I'm asking you to do, in that case there will be a problem for you, like, your position in the organization will be severely hampered. And both type of cases come in. So demand or request for such sexual favors happen in organizations, I will not generalize it, but typically this has been seen in senior junior relationships within organizations, where mostly people in managerial positions are demanding sexual favors from people who are junior in rank, from women who are junior in rank, either in the pretext of offering growth or in the pretext of threatening their position in the organization. So this has to be, this is something that comes up, and this is why a lot of organizations in recent times are also framing dating policies within organizations, because it's important that romantic relationship within organizations as well has to be made sure that organization takes a stand on it, because a lot of cases happen where 2 people are dating and there is a fallout, and that comes out on the organization, and then these cases become very messy to handle. And in a lot of organizations, dating policies define that how seniors in the organization cannot date people who they have a right, they can comment on their performance, or basically somebody who they are holding a managerial position over. So a lot of new things are happening vis-a-vis this as well. The third and the fourth thing that the law defines it as is making sexually colored remarks. So basically, making any joke, sexual innuendo, sexual anecdote, swearing, because as you know, a lot of Indian swears are sexual in nature. So swearing in front of your colleagues, all of that comes within the definition of, the making sexually colored remarks. The fourth category that the law says is basically showing pornography or any such text. So basically sharing pornographic text, etc., with the team, with any person in the organization, or sending them lewd messages on text. These things are also prohibited. The fifth way it defines it as any other physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct. So physical, obviously we have understood, verbal we have understood. Non-verbal basically refers to what women face very frequently in public spaces, which is basically staring, leering, and stalking, right? So people are stalking happens, and that actually also extends. You'll be surprised to know how many cases of stalking comes up within workplaces, and cases of staring comes within workplaces, where a woman is feeling extremely uncomfortable because one person in the organization has decided to, like, stalk them or like follow them if around the workplace or while they are going home. And it creates a very dangerous scenario for a woman, and or like consistently staring at them, making them feel very uncomfortable. And that's very important to understand. So these definitions of sexual harassment is very critical to understand for everyone. That and Two things I'm going to add to the definition of sexual harassment, and that comes one comes from the legal principles, that the law says that the intent of the basically your intent does not matter, the impact matters. So which means that a lot of cases come up where I have heard respondents who are basically the accused saying that I did not mean this, or I said it as a joke, or it slipped out of my mouth. So in that case, the law says that even if, like, you are saying your intent was not there, but you also have to measure it vis-a-vis the impact of the sexual harassment of on the woman. So it is very important to remember that. And second thing is very important to remember that there is a line, and there is a line versus in terms of consent versus non-consent. And consent given is not absolute, right? So if you receive consent, one doesn't mean that's an absolute consent. It could be taken later on. So for example, like, just to give you an example, people have friends in organizations, right? They're joking around, and there are a lot of jokes happen. And people, and sometimes there is an assumption that, okay, this person is listening, this woman is listening to my joke.